Hi everyone, Cynthia Marcus here, registered social worker. I had a thought this morning that I thought may be helpful to share. I'm been quite intrigued with IFS, internal family systems, for a while, which it's really around how we have a lot of parts in our mind, kind of our thoughts, feelings, different parts of our personality. You can frame it a lot of different ways, but it basically means that who I am is made up of a lot of different parts of me. And that can be hard for people to wrap their heads around sometimes. It sort of feels really weird for some reason. Um, and then this morning, as I'm struggling with aches and pains, I, and learning about my physical body and all of its parts and how they're connected, I realized it's not really that different. Um, so for example, I've got this rounded shoulder slouching thing that I think many can relate to, on our phones and sitting so much and just, we develop this poor posture. Um, and, most of us know that we're not supposed to do that, but we do for whatever reason. And, as a result, different body parts have to compensate. And so, my shoulders aren't working the way that they're like intended to, or in their best way. So then, other muscles end up taking an extra burden to kind of bring balance, right? Because obviously we're not going to fall flat on our face. Like our body is really good, our physical body is really good at figuring out like how to adapt so that we can keep going, even if it's not perfect, right? Like if I sprain my ankle and I'm trying to walk, I'm going to be kind of hobbling and leaning to the one side because obviously I can't, if something's hurting, you're not going to put all that weight on it. Your body kind of knows what it needs to do to protect itself. Um, but of course, if I keep walking that way, or I keep slouching like I have been, then it doesn't get better. Often we notice increasing pain, like different problems with how we feel. Um, so, a really good physical health professional, which, a lot of doctors don't understand all these connections. Some physios maybe do really good in one area, but it's hard to find, a professional that really can see the whole system, but really it's all connected, right? Like if I'm having like pain in my neck, it might be just connected to like my neck and my shoulders, but like, gosh, it could go down to my feet. Um, so I've been trying to explore and understand like what I need to do to strengthen my physical body so all the parts can work well together. And like knowing we have different body parts isn't a weird thing. Like nobody says, "Oh no, this is just me. I don't have parts." Like, yes, I have hands, I have a head and eyes and feet and legs and a torso. Like we know we have different parts of our body that are all important for different reason in our system. And if they're working well together, then we can have really strong, powerful, wonderful bodies. And sometimes they're injured or have different reasons for not functioning the way that, is their ideal. And so then it gets a little out of whack, right? And the same thing happens in our minds. We all are made up of parts. So here's Cynthia. Yeah, this is me. But I also have like a really organized part. I have an anxious part. I have an excitable part. I have a playful part. I have like, honestly, I couldn't name all my parts. It's very hard to know all of your parts. But the key is recognizing that they all have a role to play. And if something's feeling hard, out of whack, it's probably because one part or many parts are kind of taking on more than they're designed for, more than is really good for them. And they haven't done this to like screw with you or like we shouldn't be mad about it, right? Like if I'm feeling particularly anxious, it's probably because there's something happening in my system that isn't really being supported otherwise. So this part feels like it needs to like really take hold. Um, and the only way to really balance that out is to like learn about why it's there and what it's doing. just like I could do a physical exam and be like, oh yeah, it's really tight here. And I noticed this part isn't like lined up the way that typically we would expect it to be. So perhaps we need to work on this. Like our mind needs the same support to like be seen for why it's doing what it's doing, to be kind of understood and appreciated for how it's taken on this extra work. And now it's like it's feeling like a lot, right? Like it's not really um, how it's intended to be. And yeah, we could keep going because it's worked this well for this long. But over time, it usually doesn't get better, it gets worse because it's just like that continued strain, right? Just like if I'm always kind of leaning one way because I sprained my ankle, didn't really let it heal properly, and I don't do what I need to do to like get my body straight again, that other leg is probably not going to feel so good. It probably affect my hip and my I'm not a physiotherapist. I don't understand these things really, but I think we can all understand like theoretically that yeah, that's not ideal. And so our minds deserve the same care and attention. And it's not, it doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be weird. It's just like, okay, well, let's be curious about what's going on there and see if we can support the parts to kind of like go back to what they're designed to do and help you kind of be your best self. And it can be very freeing. Another piece I'll add, which I won't dive too deep into, but right now I'm talking about these things as so separate, like physical and mind, but they're really not either, just to add a whole other layer of complication. Um, they're so interconnected, which just kind of like adds on to the complexity. Because a lot of us feel like stress and tension in our neck, our shoulders. So sometimes mind parts that are on overdrive affect our body, which then affects pain levels. And it just, you know, it can be all very connected. And if we don't find sort of what's behind it, then it can be frustrating. We're often trying to put band-aids on things when really like, sure, I can do exercises to strengthen this, but if I can't find a way to release some of that anxiety or tension or worry, it's going to keep coming back. So, yeah, being open to explore kind of what's behind all of this can be, yeah, just really empowering and enlightening. And I've seen how it can really lighten people's systems, my own included. So, if you're interested in connecting more around this, please feel free to reach out or find an IFS trained therapist that resonates with you because it's really beautiful work. And when we really allow our system to tell us what it needs, some really cool things can happen. Hope this was helpful. Till next time.